Doug Slagle go finally
He's
retired.
not working. As far as I know, other than teaching.
How much
There was
is
an
it worth?
issue. There was an issue, but we don't know any details. But you can read about it on KCRG's website.
Yes.
Just Google Slagle and Marion Police.
I think I got this. Glad I'm off camera.
Yeah.
I didn't dress up tonight. All right.
Lucky me.
Yeah. front and center.
All right, let's talk about the quiz. Oh, what's this?
Yeah, you can, I thought I closed it.
That's
You
his
don't have to
paper.
say it.
You have full access.
I'm graded now if you want.
We'll call it good.
Oh, I like
All right, so definition compensation. All of you kind of had very similar responses. What do you guys think compensation is?
Everything that I get,
Everything you get could be what? Pay,
monetary, benefits, time off.
some of the things we talked about, the non-traditional ones
Yeah.
too. Yep,
Long-term disability, short-term disability.
Absolutely.
Workers' compensation.
some of those look different in different companies. You have the traditionals that, most people get health, vacation. Vacations range quite a bit.
Yeah.
From organization.
Well, different programs, right? You got vacation or PTO or.
Yep.
Whatever they decide to call
Sick
it.
days, mental health days, we talked about that last week, right?
Yeah, that's how they. professionals see those.
Total compensation, we've talked about that. That's everything, right? Compensation being more, I think, more that pay thing, and benefits, but total compensation, and we talked about where some companies will even break it down. This is what your insurance costs are, this is what each day of PTO that you get, how that adds up. Which meaning of compensation seems most appropriate from an employer point of view, return, reward, or entitlement? From employees' point of view.
From employees' point of view.
Yeah, are they entitled to all these things?
To me, it's
Is
a
this a
return.
reward, or is it a return?
I
It's
see
a return to me, it's a return on your
It's exchange of
investment.
Yeah.
work for,
You give,
Hey.
we give you benefits and education.
and some parts of your total compensation can be rewards though, right? Bonuses, at-risk compensation.
I maybe got that one wrong, but I tried to think about it from multiple points of view.
You got,
And-
you did, but you got the essence of it.
Okay, yeah. I felt like there's a lot of people that I know that are hourly that feel like,
They're entitled.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and
I deal with that all the time.
not everyone looks at it as a return, not everyone looks at it as a reward or as an entitlement. I think you can see in some organizational cultures where it's different, levels within an organization where it's different. When you're flipping burgers at McDonald's first, in high school, or making a sandwich artist, it's kind of that, I come in, I do this, I'm entitled to get paid, right? You can't take advantage of me. Return is, I come to work, I expect you, going back to your example of, I expect you to work on weekends or stuff, but when I want to leave an hour early, you want me to use PTO. That's that back and forth. It's got to be even, right?
Right.
We may work
or
salaries.
at least, maybe not always gonna be even, but it's gotta be like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
That's a good.
it all evens out. What are rational returns? List 2 of these important to you and why. What are a couple of rational returns that you picked?
Recognition, status,
Recognition and status. Yep.
employment security.
I put challenging work and opportunities,
You could pick 2.
not 17.
I picked 1.
Anybody else?
I don't remember what it.
I said it's hard for me
I
to
pulled
just
mine out.
do.
I pulled mine out.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, you know, pay is important, and we sometimes change jobs laterally in regards to pay because of some of these opportunity for growth, investment in training. You mentioned training earlier, investing in their people. We're able to recognize some of these in your research with LLB and Aflac.
I think for me, security is most important because I've been on an unsecure and
Mm-hmm.
worked before.
And sometimes security doesn't scare people at all. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're there to make the quick buck and move on.
You see that a lot in
They're crazy.
like CEOs stick
And
around
so-
for a couple of years.
Yeah, well,
Their
But
kids are
that's
grown
high
and gone.
pressure.
they can,
Yeah.
they can
They're
sit,
making big bucks.
they
Oh,
can
I
sit, and there's typically a golden parachute at the
Of
end.
course.
I put challenging working opportunities, and then I put especially when those opportunities are something that I earned. So when I was
That gives
inside
you-
sales, you know, we were all in there doing it together, and at some point I was able to apply and move on to the outside world. And so there's some benefits that I get with that the others don't. And I feel like some of the hard work and things that I've tried to learn and get better at it.
Right, it always feels better when you earn it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's nothing worse than having a job. You want challenging, nothing worse than having a job is going to do the same thing every day. And you said your father-in-law,
Yeah.
the grease thing.
Or, yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, that's gonna be so boring. No wonder you know, fiddle parts around the.
Yeah.
What are some unique things you receive? We all receive pay, we all get benefits. What are some things you think are unique to either your job or your organization?
Work from home.
Work from home, that's a huge benefit to a lot of people.
We get a birthday hour, so if it's your birthday, you can leave more than an hour, but you can go out. Summer flex hours, I don't think that's that unique anymore, but I definitely know some industries can't have it. Industrial probably can't have flex summer hours. 'cause we got
Manufacturing, yeah.
manufacturing.
We do bonus for everybody that works there, which I thought was kind of odd, because coming from where I came from before, it's all the upper that get that.
Right,
You have to be at a certain
kind of
level.
like LLB, right? You get in a paper bag.
No, but I could start doing that.
That would be
very interesting.
Gonna crinkle it a lot.
But then just put their deposit slip in there.
Yeah. There you
I'd
go.
have
It
to
has
print it out
cash.
though, because we don't even get those anymore.
I have a couple of unique things just because I'm outside sales and I don't go to our office even once a month. I currently drive a vehicle, so the truck that I drive here is my company truck. I sold my truck, so it probably saves me $500 a month, I guess. And it's a nice truck. It's a 2015 GMC Sierra. So when I got it, it was a $40,000 truck.
Right.
My cell phone is 100% paid for with unlimited data. And then,
Gas.
quite frankly, I've bought very little gas. But tomorrow, I was telling him, tomorrow I gotta go to Waverly for a meeting in the morning, and I'm going to Dubuque in the afternoon and back.
Do you
And then-
expense your maintenance on it too?
I don't expense anything because it's not my truck. So I have
So
a
then you
company
pay for
credit
the-
card. So I use that company credit card, which is in my name, but it's
Right.
the company's card, so I don't even have to like use so that's another benefit is a lot of people that have to expense things, they have to basically loan the company the money for 2 weeks or a month. And then they have to like, hopefully there's no issues or hangups in getting the money back, which most people just use their credit card and build points up anyway, but regardless, mine is not that way. Mine's a company credit card, but benefit for our boss is he takes all the points at the end of the year and goes on vacation, which is fine with me because I'd rather do that than float him $3,000 every month. You know what I mean? So those are, I guess, the biggest ones for me is the vehicle. I mean, obviously this laptop that I'm using here in school, that's a company laptop. I've got a printer, copy machine, fax machine, all that stuff at my house is all company stuff. So the amount that I use it besides that, they know I'm using it for school. They don't care, but
Right.
I mean, realistically, it's not, I'm not damaging it. I'm not wearing it out. I'm just using it. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you're downloading a bunch of.
I probably abused the gas a little bit. I went to Newton and back for the NASCAR race on Saturday, and I put a gas in that. I'm gonna put a tank of gas through it every day this week.
Do you
You know
have
what I
to
mean?
pay mileage on it when you use it personally?
No, they don't have me track it. I
That's
just-
interesting.
Every quarter, they ask me where it's at, because they write it off on their end, but they don't ask me how much is my end. I mean, I put 1,000 miles on it 2 weeks ago between Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning and Friday at 5 o'clock, and it was 100% work.
Wow.
Yeah. So literally that week,
Do you
when I
take
got
it on
home,
trips or can you take it?
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I let them know, but not much. Normally we'll take her car because it's more convenient, but yeah, realistically, if we were gonna run
That's
to,
a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Very huge.
yeah, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to park, like if you're gonna go downtown Chicago, a
Right.
ton trucks, not that.
Well, you're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 compensation right there.
Yeah,
No insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
insurance is $100.
I sold my truck, I had my truck sitting there and I was paying the insurance on it. And obviously I wasn't putting any miles on it and, you know, making my payment on it every month. I sold it. I don't even, so if they fired me, literally if Friday they called me in and fired me, I would not have a car.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Well, you don't have a job, so you don't have to go anywhere. So.
Right,
And you won't have a phone either.
right, and I'm not
That-
leaving you
That's
either,
why
so.
I will always carry.
That's always your
phone.
goal last year.
Cause
I
that
didn't do it
happened to
this
me.
Work phone.
So now the other thing is the other benefit is this phone number that I have is the same phone number that I've had since I was 14.
Mhm.
And they assured me that if something goes south between us, I keep the same number. Even though they own it now, because I signed it, and I'm on a
Yeah, we make people
non-compete.
sign that.
I signed a non-compete. So I'm on a 2-year deal anyway, so if they can be, if they can be, I can do whatever I want. If I leave, I can't do anything competition-wise for 2 years, so. But like literally, if I leave, they'll transfer my phone over to my wife's plan, my number, and I'll keep all my contacts and everything. They can't steal my iCloud, you know what I mean?
Right.
All my contacts are in my iCloud, so now they just, more or less, they can't steal your crap anyway, so they're just more or less giving it to you.
Own it.
They're giving it to you, that's like,
Better in my company, if you use your number with your company phone, you leave, you don't necessarily get your number back.
Yeah,
You can ask
Right.
for it.
we make you sign a paper. Cause when I first came, or
they didn't have
before
to
I
sign anything,
came,
so they could probably steal it from me if if
They
it
didn't
really
have
went
cell
south, they
phones.
probably could, but.
so if they wanted a company cell phone, keep it their personal number, they were relinquishing the rights to that personal number.
I just hate when these.
But I
people
just
carry around
gave it
two
to him.
phones.
I gave it to him. I do too, but I'm not gonna be without a phone when I lose my job,
That one's
I
for
just went through
this one.
and it sucks.
You have two?
That's my work one, so if I'm,
Wouldn't there be a way to
Working
give
from
you a
home
new
would be
number and just have it on the same phone type of thing? Like, can't you have?
yeah, dual
I mean, I can
citizen.
look up different emails, I can reply I can be on 2 Twitter accounts at the same time, I manage, my buddy's a NASCAR driver, I manage his Facebook page, why can't they? I can answer his emails from here, I can do everything from here, why can't I just have a separate phone number into a work app where it buzzes into here? Why do you have to have?
You get a phone with dual
You can
SIMs, you can do
transfer.
that.
So why do you have two actual phones?
Just how it works. They gave me this for work and actually I use
That's
it.
what they need to do.
I don't want
Come
to
up
use
with a
my
way
personal
to-
phone to make calls to people at the facilities. I don't want to call my personal phone after hours. That's why I have this thing.
Oh, my customers are off work at night, they don't.
Don't call.
If they call me, I should probably answer. And I do.
Well, let's talk about pay for performance. We talked about it a little bit, aligning your organizational strategy with your corporate goals. Then within that, your department goals, department team goals, individual goals, and then how do you tie that to employee team results, employee task behavior? So we're trying to direct what those tasks and behaviors are, so that we can pay people for performance. How do we want them to perform, and how do we align that? So compensation should reinforce desired behaviors, be sufficiently attractive to recruit and hire good potential employees, make sure good employees stay with the company. So what are those retention pieces? And then build further knowledge and skills. So how do we encourage people or motivate people to go out and get that growing additional knowledge, certificates, those things. And then lastly, motivate employees to perform well on their jobs. So performance must be accurately measured to tell if compensation efforts are working. So we can't just be like, I think Danny's doing a great job. How do we know he's doing a great job? That's a subjective opinion, but what are we tracking to understand? How many sales? Is he increasing sales? Is he going down? What are the impacts that could be driving either up or down? Is it market? Is it performance? So having those accurate pieces. Elements of motivation. So what's important to the person? Sometimes it isn't compensation. Sometimes it's recognition. Sometimes it's opportunity. Sometimes it's a new truck, right? 2019 Sierra. Employees prefer pay systems that are influenced by individual performance. So if I can control, if I'm in sales, I'm rewarded on the sales, not the execution of the project sometimes. Because you can sell whatever you want, and if they can't execute on it, some people get scared with that. It's out of your control, right? Change in cost of living, so kind of those inflation increases, seniority, market rate. So if there's a high demand for a particular position, we should be staying up with that because we'll just go somewhere else, right? Flexible compensation, so individual know what rewards would be best suited for personal needs. So sometimes that's within sales, you know, I want to start out with a secure base, but as I get into my job and make my contacts and I can make more money on commission, then I'm going to switch over. That happens a lot. Offered in exchange for some desired behavior. So components of total reward system: compensation, benefits, social interaction, security, status recognition, work variety, workload. Some people go to be a manager, make really good money, and then they'll take a pretty significant pay cut just because that workload does not align with their family, what they're doing, maybe going back to school, those types of things. Work importance, authority, advancement, feedback, work conditions, development opportunities. So having that formal and informal training opportunities. Does compensation motivate behavior? Factors influence a person's decision to join a firm. So level of pay, kind of start there, right? Pay system characteristics. So how do we get paid? Is there some at risk to it? Is it based on bonus, based on commission? Reward system should be designed to attract people with desired personalities and values. So how do we not only get the technical, but also the social side to come to our organization? Factors impacting turnover. So pay based on individual performance, group incentive plans, level employee satisfaction with the pay, changing base pay. So all of these are part of turnover. Turnover is super complex and there's so many things that go into it. But related to pay, you know, is it a high enough base? Is it only based on group incentives? So I can't control, I don't have a good team. So I'm getting penalized for people. Is everyone satisfied with the pay? Do they think it's competitive? And then does it keep changing? Other rewards that influence the decision to stay: work variety and challenge. Talked about that, right? Development opportunities. So do I have an opportunity to become a manager or be an expert in my field? Social. Do I like the people I work with? Status recognition. So to some people, status is important, right? Talk about millennials. Some millennials, not everyone. But, you know,
I'm a millennial by definition.
they may lead to be I want to be a manager. A lot of this is in every generation. They come out of college, I want to be a manager.
Whenever somebody says I want to be a manager, I feel like they don't even know.
They have no idea,
No idea.
typically.
I want to be a boss.
I said that too when I was young.
No boss.
And had no
What
clue.
do
I want to be
leader.
a baller, shot caller.
20-inch blades on
Oh,
work importance. So am I making a difference, right? Or if I'm just doing my job and it's not impacting anything. So I want to impact the bottom line. Sometimes that's why people want to be leaders. And then benefits, right? We look at what's involved. Talk about Unity Point versus Iowa's benefits. HSA versus traditionals. That worked great when you're single, but not necessarily afterwards, after 30. Skill-based pay is intended to encourage employees to learn new skills. So go out there and expand your certificates, get get a higher degree, turn out significantly higher quality products. Do employees perform better with their jobs because of pay? They perform better when the well-designed plan links pay to behaviors of employees. So it's like, I mean, we've all been there, we talked about this, like, okay, we do this review, it's great, I did great, I still get inflation. So why work harder? Some people just work hard enough not to get fired, right?
Yes. I think people are just do their minimum.
Right. Incentive depends on individual performance. Team-based incentives are less attractive. Why is that?
Because you have no control.
We can't control it all, right?
If you get an imbalanced team,
Yep.
we're worried about behavior.
Absolutely. Linking pay to performance occurs through incentive pay. Pay can motivate people to perform better. Sorting effect, people sort themselves by what is important to them. Efficiencies, strategy, structure, standards, all these affect the design of pay for performance. Under the standards, what are the objectives? How do we measure if we're hitting those objectives? Eligibility for that type of measuring stick. Funding for that, where's this coming from? If we look at shared services, we're like, we have so much budget for this, doesn't matter how we do it, right? Where sales is a little different. Equity and fairness, we look at that, like we not supposed to talk about pay, but we do. Is it fair? Disruptive justice, procedural justice, communications, is that all fair? Do we see it as fair? Compliance, so comply with existing laws. We talked about FSLA, depending on non-exempt and exempt. Enhance and maintain firm's reputation. So even though we might be within the law, are we doing ethical things? Are we treating people ethically? Signals of movement within pay for performance, kind of moving away from that entitlement towards pay that varies with individual organizational performance. So a lot of your pay or bonuses is individual pieces of it. 30% is individual, 30% is team, the rest is the company. Or you can hit this, hit that, but if your company isn't performing, you're not going to get the other two. Has anyone had a bonus plan like that?
I know that.
We have a short term and a long term.
Yep.
Usually the short term you get because that fits some magic number or something. Ends up only being like small percentage anyway.
Sure.
Because it's all split up. And then the long term, you may or not get it depending on how well the company's doing at the end of the year.
Yep. Yeah, and
Based
I
on-
think most people see it as, okay, we're not making money. How can do we really deserve bonuses?
Doesn't make sense. no.
But, you know, you look at the shorts, it's like I worked and did everything I could and made an impact. Not my fault that those guys didn't, or these guys up top didn't, made bad decisions.
A lot of times it's our sales department that screws up. You don't feel that?
She's giving.
I can feel, I guess, but mostly from.
Oh, hey, Danny, we can pull that back out.
Yeah.
Increasing interest in variable pay, competition to keep more competitors, subject in fast-paced business environments. So specific pay for performance plans, short-term merit pay, lump sum bonuses, individual spot awards. Does anyone's organization do that?
We do spot awards.
Yep. Individual incentive plans, merit pay links increase the base pay, how highly employees are rated on the subjective performance evaluation. So again, kind of going back to that example we talked about earlier, your budget might be 4% and you may exceed all expectations, get 6% of that pool, and some people might get 2 to kind of even that out. But issues, so expensive, doesn't achieve desired goal of improving employee and corporate performance, doesn't really move the needle, right? We talk about merit pay is, you don't get 10% increases typically in merit pay. So 6% is even high. What's that?
So that would be awesome.
Right. So does it really achieve what we're trying to do? Managing merit pay, so improve accuracy of performance ratings, allocate enough money to truly reward performers. increase in merit pay should be differential across performance levels. Lump sum bonuses, so substitute for merit pay because it's kind of that one time. So instead of paying you for a good job you did this year, which is going to continue even next year and next year, the lump sum, I'm going to reward you for this you did this year. You may get the same reward or more or less next year, depending on your performance. It's not built into base pay, so it doesn't impact your internal equity. So we're not, putting ourselves in a situation where this person's up here and this person's here, even though it should have a little bit differential if you're a high performer versus low or just enough. It's viewed as less of an entitlement than merit pay, less expensive than merit pay over the long run because you're not paying it every year. Individual spot awards viewed as highly and moderately effective. Why do you think they're moderately effective?
Well, I would say because we give it to them in front of everybody and they're recognized in front of everybody.
I think that would be make it effective though.
It's not
Think about the amount.
monetary-based.
Well, it's monetary based, but
It's not taxed.
What do you mean by a spot award?
I was gonna say, maybe I'm not.
sometimes you
Well, it can be.
like
anything.
$100 gift card
Oh.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
give out gift cards, so we'll have our manager.
or $100 bills. You can only go to a certain amount with and not tax it. So moderately effective, I would think, is because of
Those are
low
the small
value.
awards.
they're low value.
It's like you do a good job for something, they give you that attaboy and here's $20.
Right. Or hey, go to lunch. It's nice and people like it, but it's not that $10,000 bonus at the end of the year.
Well,
No.
it's kind of significant depending on what you've done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Depends on the organization too.
Depends on the manager who's doing it
that's a
too.
lot.
Because we have a focus award that's basically a spot award.
Mhm.
And you can get all kinds, like, Danny and I work together. I said, hey, Danny helped me out with this. I can do my focus thing. But me, Joe Schmo, worker, we can do that. And he gets on his back. Takes a manager or a director or something to do the incentive. And I think that is the highest is $100.
Right.
It's usually like $10 or $20.
Yeah.
Here, have a beer.
It's nice, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but
I know.
it doesn't move the needle that much.
It'd be nice to get a little, yeah.
I guess I
Absolutely.
wasn't listening when you said moderate. I don't think it's effective. What do you mean?
Individual incentive plan, so promise to pay for some objective, pre-established level of performance. So if you hit 5, so this is what you're gonna get. Your sales have to be at X amount to get that incentive. There could be thresholds where you sell 20 units, you get a $10,000 bonus. You sell, where's the first example? 20, 30, 15, and so on and so on. So kind of having that pre-established targets. Use this established standards to compare employee performance, determine magnitude of incentive pay, dimensions of which plans vary, so the method of rate determination. All these are different. We look at these, you can go from one company to another and they're all different. And then relationship between production and wages. So group incentive plans, and we'll talk about kind of peace awards. And has anyone worked in manufacturing right now? Do you guys do any like peace incentives?
No, because, we make a powder.
Okay.
It's not like that. We're not making widgets or anything.
Right.
We're making a legitimate product, so.
Group incentive plans, so team performance measured against a set of standards, determine the magnitude of incentive pay. Gain sharing plan pays off for teams defined at the level of strategic business units. So how much have you gained? How much has the needle moved? Causes for failures, a variety of teams, level problems. So one team at one level may be different than the other. Complexities of it, sometimes people don't understand it, right? I think in first class you mentioned some sales or commission planning, like they just try to confuse you, and then it sounds great until you really get to know what it is.
Yeah, I worked for a training company. They
Yeah.
did it intentionally to draw you from other companies when they're recruiting you, but once you get there and you actually try to get those, you realize, yeah, you're not intended to actually get them.
Right. With team incentives, we talk about control. So, how much can I really control the success of this? I could be, 1/8 of the piece of the pie. So is it really there's a lot of risk in it, right? Communications of it, how we're doing, where we're going, where we've been. Key elements of designing gain sharing plans, so strength of reinforcement, productivity standards, sharing the gains, scope of the formula, perceived fairness of the formula, and then ease of administration. So when it becomes difficult, someone's got to administrate this, and sometimes it's just gets too complex to do it. Sometimes they set the gain so high, or once you hit the gain, then they move it up again. And I know I've heard stories of manufacturing plants where they're like, do not start off gung ho here. Start off. So is it really effective? Yeah. And then production variability. So there may be factors in it that we can't control. InfoShare, improve productivity through sharing, develop standards to identify expected hours required to produce an acceptable level of output. Savings are shared by firm and workers. So the faster we do it, the more productive we could be, the more benefits we get. Easier to administer and communicate. Profit sharing plans focus on predetermined index of profitability. Sometimes profit sharing comes in a form of 401k investment, right? We hit our profits, we go, you get 2% more invested. Companies should specify the funding formula. So how's it going to, if we hit this, what's it look like? I think that's where companies do a moderate job, right? Really communicating. So do we even know what we're trying to hit? Earnings at risk plan, so success sharing plan, employee base. Pay is constant, variable pay increases in successful years. No reduction in base pay and no variable pay is poorly performing years. So typically they don't take money away, but you maybe only get like a 2% increase or a 1% increase or no increase at all. I had a guy that one year had a meeting with one of the managers, and he said, I'd like to give you an increase, for next year. And the guy said, no lie, how about you don't expect anything more out of me next year and you just leave my pay as it is.
Oh.
So that's the guy just
He told that to his leadership?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, if you hit where you want to be, you hit where you
He
want to
could
be.
be an oiler at Quaker Oats.
Maybe it was your father-in-law that said that.
That sounds exactly like something.
Was the company at risk of cutting wages?
No,
Okay.
no. It was mainly hey, you're here and I'm going to give you an increase. I'm not going to expect it. I mean, it's just a merit increase. Wow, funniest thing I ever heard. So, risk sharing plans compared to success sharing plan base is reduced by the sum amount. Group incentive plans. So some of the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: positive impact on organization and individual performance of up to 5 to 10% per year historically. So easier to develop performance measures than if it is for an individual plan, because we're evaluating 10 people or 20 people or 5. Signals that corporation both within and across the groups is a desired behavior. So we're trying to push not just one person individually in a certain direction, but the entire group. Sometimes teamwork meets with enthusiastic support for most employees. So you kind of develop that culture. You're helping people because if there's no man left behind, so to speak. It may increase participation in employees' decision-making process. So having that group think, having people group think in a positive manner, but having that, okay, we're going to come to a decision and go this way. Some of the disadvantages in line of sight may be lessened. That is, employees may find it more difficult to see how their individual performance affects their incentive payouts. So how am I impacting this? Even though I work hard, put extra hours in, is it really impacting it if I still have 3 people that don't want to do that? May lead to increased turnover among top individual performers who are discouraged because they must share their lesser contributors. So I work hard, I get the same pay as the person that doesn't. You have this problem in unions, right? Because it doesn't matter. Increases compensation risk to employees because lower income stability may influence some applicants apply for jobs in firms where base pay is larger compensation component. So if that's, I'm gonna get this no matter what, and just get a merit increase, they'd be more desirable to some people. Group incentive plans can be described by the size of the group that participates in the plan, the standard against which performance is compared, the payout schedule. So is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Explosive interest in long-term incentive plans. So long-term incentive plans, we talked a little bit about that. Focus on performance beyond 1 year timeline. So some long-term incentive plans are, if you do X, you get 30% this year, 30% next year, and 40% the following payout. And then it just kind of waterfalls. Growth in long-term plans results in desire to motivate longer-term value creation. So not only what are we hitting our moving the needle today, but what about tomorrow and the next day? We're not going to make short-term decisions, or sometimes you'll see leaders, we talk about, they come in for a year or two, they're just trying to move the needle by move the stock price. But really that long-term, are we going to sustain that? How do we sustain that? ESOPs, Van Meter, we talked about them a little bit. They're an ESOP. Does anyone else work for an ESOP or did work for an ESOP? Okay. Employee stock ownership plans generate long-term effects, foster employee willingness to participate in decision-making process, have little impact on productivity or profits. Performance plans, performance share, performance units. So it's really that we're not only worried about ourselves, our group, but what's the organization look like? Driven by financial earnings and return measures. So what do we get as on our stock? And how is that going to impact our stock?
So could I ask, make another statement
Absolutely.
about the spot awards?
Yes.
So I was a little sarcastic about it, but so in my experience with it, it's one of those things, it's like, oh, we're doing spot awards. It's really exciting initially. And depending upon how you do it, because it's different. I don't know, personally me, I feel like it seems silly to get an award for a job I'm already doing. Or, I should already be doing a good job.